Hi everybody, I'm Emily, one of the designers here at the Quilted Cow, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make the mixer cover. This mixer cover is great. We have it listed in 3 different sizes, so you get to choose the size. Can't wait to show you how to make it, but before we get started, I need to thank our sponsors. We are sponsored by Husqvarna Viking Machines, Creative Grids, Cutting Mats and Rulers, and Wilmington Prints. Let's get started.
We are rolling.
All right, so this mixer cover is super awesome. It is big enough to cover a KitchenAid Pro Bowl lift mixer if you have one of those sizes. Now, like I said, this pattern is written in 3 different sizes. There is the mini, there's the standard, and then there's the Pro Bowl lift, which if you have one of these, basically it's where the bowl lifts instead of the top flipping up on your KitchenAid or on your mixer. So if you have one of this size, this is the size that you're going to want to use. So let me slide this to the side and I'm going to show you how to make the mixer cover. Go ahead and head on over to our website, grab yourself a kit. Now this is a Helpful Heifer pattern. So of course all of the kits are going to include a paper pattern, but if you need a postcard pattern, make sure that you grab that if you want to grab that postcard pattern. Now the kit is going to include all of the fabric that you're going to need to be able to make the largest size mixer cover. So you get to choose whichever size mixer cover that you want to make out of the kit that you get. However, there is an add-on kit, and the add-on kit is going to include the foam and the lightweight interfacing that you're going to need in order to make this. So if you've got foam and interfacing at home, use up that stash. If you want to make sure that you get exactly what you need to make this mixer cover, go ahead and grab yourself one of the add-on kits as well. So that is all available on the website, thequiltedcow.com. Head on over there, grab your kit, and let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start by making our panels. Now I've already gone ahead and made most of the panels, but you're going to cut out the sizes that you need of the foam, your main fabric, and also your lining fabric. Now you'll notice that my fabric is directional. That's okay. If you have directional, you're just going to make sure that your height is what you need, and then there's the width. So like this one, you're going to cut the panels, I think it was somewhere around 18 inches tall. So just make sure that the height is matching the direction of your fabrics. So keep that in mind as you're making this. Also, whenever you go to put it together, you do want to make sure that all of your fabrics are, if they're directional, all of the fabrics are facing the right direction. So that is key. Now, once you get your foam cut out, your main fabric and your lining fabric cut out, you're going to lay those with the main and lining fabric, and I've already sewn this, so it's a little bit difficult to see, but the main and lining fabrics are facing each other. The right sides are facing each other, and then the wrong side of one of the fabrics is laying against the foam, and the other wrong side is face up. Once you get those laid out, you're going to sew a 1/4 inch all the way around, leaving about a 4-inch opening on one of the long sides. Now, if you're making the smallest one, it's a square, so just make sure that you're leaving a 4-inch opening on just one of the sides of the panels. If you've got directional, it just needs to be on the side. Don't put it on the top or the bottom, especially not the bottom. That is important. So keeping that in mind, sew all of your panels the same exact way. Leave that 4-inch opening on one of the sides and do that to all of the panels. Now there's going to be 5 different panels that you're going to need, one for the front, one for the back, one for each side, and one for the top. So make sure that you get all of those panels done, sewn, and ready to go. The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to clip the corners. Once we've got that finished, going to turn it right side out, and then using your favorite stiletto or poking tool, whatever that you have, then you can poke out the corners and then press it all flat, and then you're going to top stitch all the way around. So that's what I'm going to do with this panel here. All right, so once you get the top stitching done, now is the time. If you wanted to add some quilting to this, go ahead and quilt it however you want. So I'm going to set these aside for now. And next thing I'm going to do is show you how to make the pockets. So the pockets are pretty simple. You're going to have, and it's just out of the lining fabric, you're going to have a couple pieces of the lining fabric that you cut, and then some lightweight interfacing that you're going to fuse to the bottom half of the pocket. Now, once again, the pattern is going to tell you exactly what to cut. You will notice on your pattern that there are 3 different colors of of cutting instructions. So the red one is for the mini size, the black the black measurements are for the middle size, and then the blue measurements are for the largest size, the Pro Bow lift size. All right, so let's get this pocket done before we go any further. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and pressed the bumpy side of the lightweight interfacing to the wrong side of the bottom half of the pocket. Once I get that finished, I'm going to place the pocket, I'm going to fold it right sides together so it's wrong side out, and then I'm going to stitch down each of the raw edges, leaving an opening for turning in on one of the edges of the pocket. I have a tendency to just do it on the bottom edge. You only need about 2 to 3 inches here. You don't need very much, but make sure that you leave that opening for turning. Once you get that sewn, you're going to clip the corners again, turn it right side out, press it really well, and top stitch along the tops. All right, so once you've got your pocket top stitched across the top folded edge, now once again, my opening is right here. I'm gonna close that in just a few moments whenever I attach it to my panels. So I'm gonna grab one of the side panels, and once again, making sure that the direction of the print is right side up, I'm gonna place the pocket on the bottom of that panel, and then once I've got that placed, I'm going to stitch down each side and all the way across the bottom. All right, so now we have all of our panel pieces put together, and we're just going to set those aside and work on the handle for just a few moments. So the handle is really not too difficult to do. So you're going to start by taking your piece, the rectangle that you cut out, and you're going to fold it a 1/2 inch in to the wrong side on both of the short ends. Once you've got that folded and pressed, because you want to make sure that you press in between each of the steps, you're going to fold it in half lengthwise. Here's your short ends, here's this raw edge, so the raw edges are going to meet. You're going to give that a good press to make your first crease. Once you've got that crease made, you're going to open it back up and insert your piece of foam into the handle at the crease. And I always like to put it underneath of that folded edge, that way it's going to hide everything nicely. So put it underneath that folded edge, and then fold this one side back in towards the center. And it's not going to meet the center, and that's okay, but give that a good press. And then sometimes I like to fold it back around just to see where my edge is going to be, and then I'm going to fold this under because it's not going to meet there in the center. If we didn't have this foam in here, you would put it all the way to the center, but because the foam is in there, it's taking up some room. You're going to want to make sure that you give some space so that these folded edges are going to meet nicely on the edge. So otherwise, if you folded that all the way to the center, the fold would be all the way back here. It'd be almost 1/4 inch to the inside of that handle, and you don't want that. So we want to make sure that we have both of these edges even. Give it another good press. And my short edge fold didn't want to stay folded completely, so I'm going to give that a press. Make sure everything's tucked in where it should be on the ends. And just make sure it's nice and pressed down. And now I'm going to top stitch all the way around all 4 edges. And because I made sure that I didn't fold this too far in, this raw edge too far in, this is going to meet and it's going to catch that bottom part in the top stitching. You can always add extra top stitching if you wanted to. That's not a problem either. So do what you want on this, but I'm just going to top stitch all the way around all 4 of those edges. And when I get back, then I'm going to show you how to put this on the top of your mixer cover. All right, so super simple, top stitch all the way around, made sure that I got everything sewn down. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to mark 1 inch from each end of the handle. So I'm just going to put my ruler on top of there and then do a little mark just straight across like that so you can see it, and do that on both ends. And that's going to be the marking where we stitch and make our X whenever we put the handle on top of this. So the other thing we're going to do is we're going to take our top panel. Now, This is directional fabric. I'm okay with that. And in fact, whenever I put it on my mixer cover, this is going to be the front of the mixer cover as I'm looking at it. And then that'll be the backside. So they'll always be standing up whenever I have it on there. So that's not a big deal. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a longer ruler and I'm going to make a couple of marks here. Now, if you want your handle to stick up further, you're going to position the ends in a slightly different spot. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to position this to where I have it kind of squared up on my table here. And this is gonna, or on my cutting mat. And what this is gonna do is I'm gonna find the center doing that. You can always fold it in half and find your center, however you feel comfortable doing it. But I'm gonna find my center doing this. I've just got it lined up with my ruler lines. 1, 2. So basically, this mark here is going to be halfway from one side to the other. And then, I'm actually going to turn this so that I have my whole inches here. And then I'm going to just kind of center it between the top and the bottom here, these two edges here. And what I want to do is I have this as my center point. This is my center point right here. So I'm going to actually take it and move it over. So I want to measure 3 inches over from this center line here. And so 1, 2, 3. 3 inches over. And then I have my center point being here, and I'm just going to draw a line from here, about a 1-inch line right here at this edge. Now, the way I'm going to position my handle, I'm actually going to cover up this line whenever I put it on there, but I do still want to make a little bit of a mark where the center of that is, just to keep me lined up. So the next thing I'm going to do is take this, and we'll do it this way. So here's 3 inches over, centered top and bottom here. So now whenever I put my handle on, you can put your handle to where it lines up and it's centered with the 3-inch marks on the very outside of the handle, and that's going to make a really tall handle. I don't know if you can see that very well, but that's going to make a really, really tall handle, and it's going to stick up a lot. I personally like to make this 1-inch mark and make it meet the mark there. And that's going to make it's just going to have a slight bump to it. It's not going to be really tall. It depends on your preference, how you want it. But for me personally, I don't think that the handle needs to stick up very far on this. I think that it can be just slightly up and still be easily grabbed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to my machine. I'm going to sew an X here. I'm going to sew all the way around on top of my top stitching that I already have, and sew that X. I'm going to reinforce the inside line and also the outside line. That's going to help reinforce and keep that a little bit stronger. But I'm going to place this line, this 1-inch mark here, on top of the mark that I made here. All right, so I've got the handle sewn onto the top, and now it's time to put this whole thing together. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the top, and then we're going to do our front and back panels, which are actually, to me, they're kind of the sides of it. So, but with these larger main panels, and we're going to sew one panel to the top, right sides together, and then we're going to sew the other panel to the top, right sides together. Now, when this is all put together, it's going to stand up like this. So make sure the direction of your fabric, if you've got directional fabric, is facing the right way. So remember, the top here is the top of your fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. When I sew these together, I'm going to start a 1/4 inch in from each side and sew this seam together. All right, so you'll notice I've got the front and back panels attached to the top. Now it's time to put the sides on. and we're going to attach that to this panel right here. So in order to do that though, we do have to make sure once again that everything is facing the right direction. Now, if your fabric is not directional, one of the things that you'll need to remember is that the pockets are going to go on the bottom. So position it no matter whether your fabric is directional or not, so that the pockets are down here at the bottom, not turned around at the top. We want to keep those pockets where you can use them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this here. I'm going to start all the way at the end. I'm actually going to backstitch off of the end and bring it back up so that reinforces this bottom edge really nicely. And then I'm going to sew all the way, stopping 1/4 of an inch from the end of this panel. Then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. All right, so this is what it looks like whenever it's sort of put together. Now, time to put this together, and of course we're still doing it right sides together, so once it's all put together, it's going to be wrong side out, and then we'll flip it right side out. So that's what we're going to do now. So I've got the bottom of the other piece. So this is the front, this is the back. So I've got the bottom of the back and the bottom of the side panel, which is the pocket. I'm going to match these two together. Now, you just want to line them up, and it'll start to look a little squared off. So you can see how that goes. It doesn't want to stay that way whenever you get it under your machine, and that's all right. Just grab yourself a couple of clips and put it together. And you're going to do the same thing that you did whenever you sewed the side panels onto the front. And then you're going to do the same thing to the other side of the back panel and the other side panel. So I'm going to take this to my machine. I'm going to sew this together. When I get back, I'm going to show you how to finish this out with the tops and get all that sewn together. But don't forget, this is foam. It bends. Move it around, bend it as much as you need to. It'll be all right. You force it where you want it to go. Don't make it force you where it wants to go. So let me get this sewn together and I'll be right back. All right, so we're almost finished. The last seam that needs to be done is this very top seam here and here. So we're going to sew across these two seams. Once again, it's foam. Let it bend, make it bend, make it do what you want it to do. So I always fold out these edges, these corners here, so that it's out of the way of my top seam. And then I can just lay this flat along the bed of my sewing machine, starting 1/4 inch and ending 1/4 inch from the edge, and then just sewing that seam just like that. And then the same thing with this other side. Once you get this one done, you just make sure that these side panels or the front and back panels are folded out of the way so that you can maneuver this around however you need to. So it does get kind of big if you're making the largest size, but don't worry, it will work out just fine. And if you get creases in your fabric or your foam, take it over the iron it out, it'll all work out. So let me get these sewn together, and then we will show the reveal of what this ends up looking like. I'll be right back. We've got this nice mixer cover right here. Now this is the mini size. This one is your extra large size, and I've got one of my accessories in here, so it's making the pocket kind of poof out. So this is the largest size. So this one is for the Pro Bowl lift size. This one is for your mini, which is going to be, I believe, just your regular, like the smallest size of KitchenAid or other brand mixer that you have. And then there is a size in between here on the pattern, the standard size with the little flip top on it. That will be right in between here. But I wanted to show you the difference in the sizes as well as how to put this all together. So don't forget, don't let the foam tell you what it wants to do. Go ahead and make the foam bend and move around as you need it to. Head on over to thequiltedcow.com, grab yourself a kit. The kit will include all of the fabric that you need to make at least the largest size, so you get to choose which size of mixer cover that you want to make. It's going to include a paper pattern, and so you'll be able to sit and sew with that. It'll have all of the instructions in there. If you need the foam and the lightweight interfacing, click on the add-on kit if you need that. If not, grab it out of your stash and use that. And if you would like the postcard pattern as well, go ahead and click on that, and that is the postcard pattern for the mixer cover. So this is the Helpful Heifer mixer cover from the Quilted Cow. Go grab yourself that. Don't forget to like and subscribe to these videos. That way we can keep sharing content with you like this. And thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.
Okay, you wicked cool quilters, good job. You made it to the end. We would like to thank our sponsors, Husqvarna Viking Sewing Machines, Creative Grids, rulers, rotary cutters, and mats, and Wilmington Prints for the beautiful fabrics. Thanks for watching.